Paul Crosby from Saliva calling in for an interview.
Right on time. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
Absolutely. How's your day going? Good?
It's going great. How are you doing?
I'm good, just working away at my office, man, as usual. My daily grind.
Oh, yes. I can totally imagine that. But, yeah, with that again, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview. This is one interview I never thought I would get the opportunity to be able to do, and I'm so glad to be able to do it.
It's my pleasure to do it with you, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, awesome. Well, I mean, definitely from the looks of things, I mean, it definitely looks like 2020 is a great year to be in Saliva right now. I mean, coming up in just about 7 days, you got a really good tour that's happening throughout the next few months. I mean, that's got to be a great feeling to get back on the road.
Yeah, it's always fun to get out there and beat on the drums for a minute, man. For sure.
Oh, totally. And, you know, with that in mind, I mean, obviously with 2020 being an important year like that and so many great live albums, I mean, what should people expect on this upcoming run from Saliva?
Just the same thing as normal, man. Get their faces rocked off. We obviously make it a huge point to go out there and kick as much butt as we possibly can, regardless if we have an old saying, 10 or 10,000, man. So regardless of who shows up or whatever, we're going to get out there and put on the best rock show we possibly can and make sure everybody gets their money's worth.
Oh, and that's totally the way to do it. And yeah, I mean, when I've gotten the opportunity to be able to see you in the past, I mean, that's absolutely the way it feels. I mean, I love the fact that you're able to make the set list so complete as well. I mean, obviously playing the hits, but it's great to be able to hear the other stuff as well, and it has a great ebb and flow to it.
Absolutely, man. And some of my favorite songs to play are some of the, I mean, of course, the hits are always great, but some of my favorite ones to play are some of the B-sides, as we call them. But yeah, we try to, with having so many singles and so many records throughout our career, it's kind of hard to play everything, but we try to put a little something in there for everyone.
Oh yeah, and it's so great to see that too. I mean, yeah, with so many records and just being able to span so many decades now. I mean, how does that feel for you? I mean, like ever since you joined the band, I mean, being able to continue on the way that you have.
It's been definitely a heck of a roller coaster ride, man. But it's been fun, and it is really hard to look back and it's really unbelievable that it's been upwards of 20 years now at this point. So pretty crazy.
Oh, absolutely. So, with that in mind, obviously, with being able to get back on the road and being able to play some great songs and being able to go across the country, what are you currently using right now for a setup?
Well, I'm endorsed by Ludwig Drums and Peisty Cymbals and Vaix. Just pretty much rocking that, man. There are three companies that I've been with for quite a while, and they've always supported me, and their gear is top notch, man. I mean, I like to use the best of the best, pretty much, and their stuff holds up really well on the road, and like I said, they have a good support system, support team there. If I need something, they make sure they get it out to me as quickly as possible, and definitely nothing but love and respect for my endorsers, for sure.
Oh yeah, and what amazing brands to be able to endorse as well too. I mean, Ludwig always puts out such amazing drums. Peisty Cymbals, it's like those things can cut through anything and take so much punishment. And of course, Vader Sticks being able to put up with that punishment as well too. It's great to be able to see that you have those commitments to those brands and being able to put on quality music with those.
It's pretty amazing, man. I feel very blessed for everything that I've gotten in the past 20 years, man. So definitely can't complain.
Oh, totally. And thinking about that as well too. Like being on the road. Have you changed your setup at all lately? Like as far as like the drum configuration or where you set up the cymbals or anything like that?
I've always went back and forth between using two kick drums and then a single kick drum with a double pedal, and then I've even went through a phase where I use two kick drums, but I still use a double pedal because it transmits better and more equally with having one microphone than having to tune both kick drums up. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, for at least the last probably 7 or 8 years, I haven't really changed up anything. But like I said, I've gone, through a few different phases. I'll get bored with the way a setup looks and then switch it around a little bit. The only exception to that rule is if we happen to be doing like a fly show and where we fly in and we're using rental backline. Sometimes they don't have the exact setup that I have, so I'll alternate it for those shows. But for the most part, I've been pretty steady for quite a while now.
And what's that like for you to be, like when you're doing those fly-in shows? I mean, what's that like for you to be able to play on a different kind of configuration and play Saliva songs?
It's still fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, but like it's still kind of like driving someone else's car, though. You can do it, but you can tell it doesn't feel like your car. You know what I mean? So I mean, if I had my way on everything, I would always want to be on my own kit. But I can definitely play on any kit provided. But it's a little bit of a challenge, but in a fun way. So we still go out there and kick butt and have a blast doing it.
Yeah, and it's so great to see that too. I mean, the fact that you are able to adapt, even if it's not the most comfortable position. I mean, the fact that you are able to adapt and put on the best live show possible. I mean, that's so important.
Yeah, it is definitely. Even if inside your head you're kind of feeling a little uncomfortable, you still put your poker face on and go out there and do it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's so important. And yeah, again, I mean, with the quality instruments that you're able to use on there, and of course in the studio as well, too. I mean, the fact that you do have that setup that just works so well for you, and you know exactly what to be able to do when you got your full setup. I mean, it's so cool to see that you just have that dialed in and you're ready to go.
Yeah, if I'm on my own set, I can literally play with my eyes closed, you know what I mean, and know where everything is just instinctively through, brain and muscle memory. So that makes it definitely a lot more, productive in the studio or whatever. When you're in your total comfort zone, you're able to produce the best performances.
Oh, very much so. And, with that in mind, I mean, it's been a couple years since the last Saliva album, 10 Lives. I mean, what's that like now to think back that album's already becoming 2 years old?
Like I said, man, it's still kind of mind-boggling that it's been 20 years of this. It goes by quick, man, especially when you're out there touring and grinding away every day. Yeah, the time just flies, man. You gotta just try to enjoy every minute of it, because like I said, in the blink of an eye, it's like, wow, that was that long ago. It's crazy, man. It doesn't feel like, even though we've done a lot of really cool stuff in our career, it still kind of doesn't feel like it's been 20 years, but it has. Crazy.
Oh yeah, and that's part of the fun that really comes with it too. I mean, think about like 10 Lives. This came out 2 years coming up here in 2020, and so many great albums that you've been able to play drums on, and so many great memories and everything that's going on there. I mean, the fact that it can feel like it was all in a blink of an eye, but you can also go back and look at those accomplishments and just look at all those great tours that you were a part of, great bands that you were able to share the stage with, so many great memories in the studio. Of course, there's always going to be some bad too, but looking at the good, I mean, it's just so cool to see everything that's happened in the band so far.
It's definitely amazing, man. Like I said, I've been truly blessed, with everything I've been able to experience. So wouldn't really change anything about it, man.
Oh, totally. And speaking of work as well, I mean, it's awesome to see the work that you do for 434 management as well, too. I mean, being able to help these great bands and being able to get them on their feet and being able to showcase them throughout the world.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. And the 434 management gig it's my main job now. I've tapered off quite a bit on the band side. But yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. We've been able to get a couple of bands last year signed to record deals. Got some of our bands out on national tours right now. Got a couple added to some big festivals coming up this summer, man. Things are really trudging ahead for us, man. We put our heart and soul into it, man. Like I said, when I'm at home, I'm in my office 9 to 5. Usually, that's what I say, 9 to 5. But I mean, last night I was at my desk until 11 at night. Whatever it takes to get the forward motion going for the bands, man. Definitely not going to stop until we make big things happen, and still not going to stop. But it's very awesome to transition into having done all of those cool things, and then now being able to trying to help younger bands experience what I've got to experience. That's the main goal.
Oh, totally. And you have such a great clientele that's going on for 434 management so far. With that in mind, I mean, what are you looking for when you're signing a band for 434 management?
I mean, what I'm looking for is bands, in my opinion, that I feel like there's something that we can do something for. Obviously, it's like this, man. Like, there's a bunch of local football players, and a bunch of them get, some of them get scholarships to colleges because of their talent, but then they don't all make it into the NFL. You know what I mean? So, not every band on the world is going to get a record deal or going to get on a tour or be successful. I try to single out the ones, kind of like a talent scout, the ones that I feel have the best chance of making that happen, and then those are the ones that I go for. Not that, if I hear bands and I don't sign them on, it's not that I feel like they're not talented. I just try to pick out the best of the best, and that increases, especially in the environment that the music industry is morphed into these days. It's increasingly harder and harder to get to big places. So I want to create the best odds possible for not only the bands but for 434 management. We're striving for success, so I want to have the most elite bands that I can pick. If that makes any sense.
Oh, totally. And, with that in mind as well, too, I mean, I love that there's a great variety amongst all the great rock bands that you got going on there. I mean, whether they're more on the heavier side, whether they're more on the mainstream side, whether they got more of that southern rock feel going on. I mean, I love that it's a varied group that you have for 434 management.
Yeah, we actually even have 2 country artists that are amazing as well. But you got to keep in mind that everybody's taste in music is not the same. There's definitely a market for the hardest of metal bands. There's a country market. There's a market for everything. So, like I said before, we try to pick the best of the best, and no matter what genre it is, because like I said, the world, everybody has different tastes in music. So we don't just focus on just one genre or one thing. We want to be successful in all kind of aspects, but we just pick the best bands that come our way from those genres and mess with it.
Oh, totally. And, again, it's just, I do love that fact. I mean, the fact that you do have 2 country artists signed with 434 management. And, it's just like, even though having that establishment on more of the hard rock side, I mean, I love the fact that you're able to see that there is great music everywhere out there. And just like you said, like, everyone has a different taste in music. And I'm glad to see that on the business side, too. It's like you can appreciate country music and you want to be able to show off the best in country music if you're able to sign them and being able to help them grow.
Yeah, and the way I've always looked at music in general is I don't see genres. To me, a good song is a good song. If it moves me, I like it. So when people ask me what I listen to personally, I say everything from Garth Brooks. You know what I mean? So even if I don't like a band's entire record, if they just have a song or two that moves me, I like them. You know what I mean? So I keep my mind open on types and styles of music. I don't put myself in a box. You know what I mean? I can see talent in all forms of music. If that song moves me, it takes me somewhere, I like it.
Yeah, and again, that's just so important to see that too, and it's just cool. It's just so cool to see that amongst all these different styles and everything. And with it as well, I mean, obviously, again, Saliva going out on tour in a week's time, but it's cool to see in a couple days from now, you got a really cool show that you're helping promote.
The Drowning Pool show. I'm sorry, I just had a little blackout there. The Drowning Pool show in San Antonio. Yeah, we're really pumped about that. We've been working on that for probably about 5 months now. And then I'll be in town hosting the show as well. Me and Drowning Pool, we've both started coming out in our bands about the same time. We've been friends with those guys forever and ever and ever. We played WrestleMania 18 with them when Dave Williams was still in the band. We just made a friendship back then and have stuck with it. So that's the other thing that 434 does, as well as manage bands. We also are talent buyers, and we help festivals get buy talent and promoters get talent like that. So it kind of keeps it interesting, but we're really pumped and excited about the show this weekend in San Antonio, and it's selling well. So I think it's going to be a good time, and it's going to be pretty successful.
Oh, I love that too. I mean, I remember WrestleMania 18 vividly as well too. Like I was just really starting to get more into the harder end of rock music, and the fact that you guys and Drowning Pool were able to play that, it got me more familiar with the music at the time, and it was just so cool to be able to experience that as well. I mean, being a rock fan, being a wrestling fan, being able to see that, and with the fact that you guys were really getting into prominence at the same time, really getting that mainstream recognition around then. I mean, it's great to see that friendship was able to build up all the way here through 2020, and you're able to help build out a great show coming up in a couple days for Drowning Pool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. And in the music industry, the music world's a small world too, so you make a really, really cool, close friends, even if you don't get to see them all the time, because everybody's got different touring schedules and stuff. But everybody stays pretty close for the most part. It's pretty awesome, man. It's just like a whole nother side of the family, man. It's pretty cool. Again, I count my blessings on everything I've got to experience and all the contacts that I've made, and I try to use those every day with the 434 to help get the bands to where we want them to be. So pretty awesome.
Oh, very much so. And, again, just being able to look at that from the outside with all of your experiences, all the friends and, everything that you've been able to accomplish over all this time. I mean, when you are looking for those bands for 434 managements, and they are starting to get their feet off the ground and being able to tour and stuff like that, what kind of advice do you give them when they are starting they're doing their first tour, or they're starting to promote their first album?
Main thing is stay the course. It's not easy, especially at the beginning. It can get really frustrating, and sometimes if a tour doesn't go the way you planned it to, or a show, it can mess with you psychologically. So I tell them, look, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. Even if you're doing this for 20 years, there's still going to be ups and downs, man. You stay the course, and if you give up, you're guaranteeing yourself you won't be successful. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta stick with it, man. If it's your passion, you stick with it, and then if you put the work in, you will get the rewards. And if like I said, if you give up, you're guaranteeing you're never gonna get anywhere.
Oh, and that is such amazing advice too, and that is so true. I mean, when you do give up, you are guaranteeing that you're never going to have those opportunities that could happen if you just push forward. And I'm glad to see that those bands are taking that advice, and they are going out on touring. They are putting out the albums, and they're, when they do stay the course and being able to reap the rewards that will soon to come. I mean, it's always going to be different for every band, every artist, every situation. But staying the course and just really keeping on with that passion as long as it stays your passion.
That's it. That's the key.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Again, it's just thinking about this conversation here and just everything that you got going on right now. I mean, being able to tour with such a great band, being able to help out such great bands, be it friends like in Drowning Pool, being up and coming bands through 434 management. Again, it really sounds like 2020 is just a great year here to be in your position right now.
Absolutely, man. I'm determined to make really big things happen, especially for the 434 bands in 2020. I really feel like something really big is going to happen this year, man. And that's my main goal, man. I want to see one of our bands. I mean, I like to see multiple of our bands, but I want to at least see one of our bands this year get put into the position that I was put in when Saliva got signed way back in the day, man. That would mean the world to me to see that, to be able to transition that to another younger band and then coach them through the ride,
Oh yeah, and again, it's just I love the fact that you got the variety that's going on there, and I totally think it can and will happen this year too. I mean, with such great clientele and so much passion between all of the artists that you're working with, it's just I totally feel that that's going to happen this year, and 434 management is just going to get keen and continue to get bigger and better from here on out.
I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. And that's and I'm not going to give up till that happens. So like I'm taking my own advice. You know what I mean?
Oh, so very true. So with that in mind, I mean, obviously with a 434 being able to accomplish everything that it has so far, and then everything coming up in the future, is there anything else that's going on in your world coming up in 2020?
I mean, between doing some shows with the band, my full time gig with 434, and then saving some time to watch my kids grow up, man, that's I pretty much got my hands full. That's my main goal, is to try to be able to juggle all three of those things and make them coexist, and not any one of them.
Oh yeah, and I'm glad to see that you are in that position right now, where you can somewhat at least being able to get everything to coincide. I know you stepped away from Saliva for a little bit, and just like wanting to keep your family and make them happy and everything like that, because it's so important to be a dad. But the fact that you're able to help run a business with 434 management, you're able to play in Saliva again, and being able to have quality time with your kids. I mean, that's living the dream right there for me.
It seems like it. I feel like it. And it keeps me busy too. So whenever it keeps me busy, that's a good thing, man.
Oh, and that's so important. And yeah, again, just being able to see your kids grow up. I mean, what's it like for them with your kids? Like, do they like listening to Saliva? Do they like listening to any other rock bands or anything like that?
I mean, my kids were always raised to where I'm just their dad. They don't really see me as rock stars, this, that. I mean, they know I'm in a band, and then, and of course they like Saliva. It's not really in their playlist, but like I said, to them, I'm just dad. That's all they really care about. They don't really care about the other stuff. But my two sons, they're both musicians and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool that they've carried on the torch as well. But they're doing their own thing, and like I said, my young ones, man, when we're together, they don't really ever even. It's rarely brought up. I'm just daddy to them, so kind of keep it normal.
Oh yeah, and again, it's great that you're able to not always have to feel like you're on stage 24/7, and you can just be dad, and you are able to raise your kids. But it's also cool on the other side too, that you do have sons that are playing music, that they have picked up instruments and started to play. I mean, it's great to see that lineage continue on with the family.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of them too, man. And they're really, really good at what they do too. So it's pretty epic, man. Pretty proud.
No, totally. And you know what? I think with that, I think that's an amazing note to end on. Just like something to be so proud of when it comes to the importance of your children and stuff like that. And with that, I thank you so much for taking this time to be able to talk to me about everything going on in your world right now. Of course, Saliva going on tour in 7 days and being able to play across the country. Everything that's going to be coming up with 434 management. Your personal life, being able to see your kids grow when you're not focusing on work or playing in a band. And again, amongst all of that, I thank you so much for being able to take the time to be able to talk to me.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
Man, I think you did a very good job at covering all the bases.